Welcome back to Milan Recording Studios. My name is James Pavel Shakras, and in today's video, I'm going to be doing a review of another digital piano, and this one here is the Yamaha P121. Now, what is the difference between the P125 and the 121? Well, actually, there's basically no difference, but the one difference is that the 121, while the electronics, the sounds, everything is identical to the 125, it has less keys. The 121 only has 73 keys. So you might be wondering, why would you buy the 121 over the 125? Why does this even exist? It has less keys. It should be inferior. Well, in today's video, I'm going to be telling you why basically everyone should have a P121, or at least a digital piano with 73 keys, because this is actually a lot more awesome than I would have expected. The 125 is really great, especially for the price point, and it's very portable, it's very light, and it's very easy, therefore, to take on location and use at a gig. It even has proper direct line output, so it's going to sound very good when you plug it into a PA system or an amplifier. The 121 does all those same things, but it has a few less keys that, let's be honest, people hardly ever use anyway, and that the less keys makes it lighter, smaller, and more compact. You can literally pick this thing up, put it on your shoulder, and walk around with it. So it's super easy to move around, it's super lightweight, super compact, and I'm super excited to get this unboxed. So let's check out what's inside. We're going to take a quick little look inside the packaging here, and I've got the box at a weird angle here so you can actually see inside for once and see what it looks like inside the box. So this here is the box for the Yamaha P121, and as you can see, it's basically just like the one for the 125, if you saw my review of that. Very nicely packaged, and I almost feel like there might be a little bit more protection, but it also might look more protected because the box is more compact, but yet it contains the same basic things. You got the foam buffers here on the end, you've got the foam spacers here, and of course the keyboard in the middle. This little cardboard strip here is actually to protect a knife from going deep inside the box and damaging the piano, so it's a very nice little detail there for a Yamaha to do. And if we take that away, you can see that the P121 is wrapped inside of this little sheet of like bubble wrappy foam type of thing. So let's get this out of the box and let me show you what it looks like. So now I have the P121 out of the box, and as you can see, it looks quite nice, just like its bigger brother, the P125 does. And in fact, as you can see, it basically looks the same as the P125, and so many aspects of the 121 are in fact identical to the 125. The pedal unit is identical to the P125. The power supply is identical. All of the sounds are identical. The user interface is identical. The action is identical, and so are the speaker units. So you might be thinking to yourself, why would people even want this? Why would they want a smaller but yet basically the same priced version of the P125? What's the advantage to having less keys? Well, throughout the duration of this video, I will be telling you various benefits of the P121 and why I personally want one. But the first thing, and probably the most obvious thing I wanted to touch on about why the P121 is pretty cool, is that it's so compact and so portable. It weighs virtually nothing, and it's also much smaller than the P125. Might not look much smaller, but it is considerably smaller, at least in my opinion. Throughout my career, when I used to gig a lot and go out to different places and bring a keyboard instrument, there were three main ones I used to use. I used to use a Yamaha P80, it was an older stage model they used to use. I also used to use an SV188 at some points, and for some time I used to use my old Kawai MP11, which I have since sold. And at that time, we had a Ford Fiesta. The P80 would fit in there okay. The SV1 was a bit of a struggle to get in, and the MP11 wouldn't really fit in that car at all. It literally would not fit. This P121, I could have simply taken it and put it in the back seat, closed the doors, and gone off to the gig. So basically, whatever car you have, whether it's a Ford Fiesta or anything else, even something more exotic like a Reliant Robin, this instrument will fit in there. Although if you do have a Robin, be careful about going around the corners. This thing is very light and it won't make a good counterbalance. So basically, whatever car you have, it will fit in there. It's also very light. You can basically carry it with one arm, just sling it under or put it over your shoulder and you're good to go. Very easy to transport, very easy to fit in your car, and super, super portable. With that out of the way, let me play a bit of music here for you guys, and what I'm going to do is, because the sounds are identical, I'll actually use both of these at the same time, just because it's a fun challenge, and also to show that the sounds, in fact, are identical. I think some pieces I might play on both at the same time, and others I will go back and forth. So I hope you guys enjoy some classical music and some original compositions here. As you can hear, there is absolutely no difference in sound between the P121 and the P125, which is actually pretty nice because the sounds in the P125 are pretty decent considering the price point of this instrument. The only really difference, though, is that you won't have the low extended range of the P125 and the high extended range of the P125. But for basically everything outside of classical music, I'm not exactly sure how important that would be. For example, in the one of the beginning sections of Clair de Lune, which I played in that segment, but not that segment of it, you play this low E flat, which, as you can see, the P121 doesn't have. Also, at the very ending of Chopin's Revolutionary Etude, you play the F major, you play the F minor, and then you play the low C suspended, and then the low C major, and this low C is not going to be available here on the P121. But at the same time, if you're gigging and playing more modern music, you probably won't really even come across that issue. A lot of pop music and more modern genres of music weren't even written on instruments that had 88 keys. A lot of the people from the past that I can think of would have been the Animals. House of the Rising Sun was written, or at least performed, on a Vox Continental, which had 60-something keys, and probably one of the most famous pieces of music written for a modern keyboard instrument, Riders on the Storm, was written on a 73-key Fender Rhodes, which is the same amount of keys as this has. So that piece would have no difficulties whatsoever, and most pop music doesn't even use the low extended range. You can add those notes if you want to in your arrangement, but the original arrangements typically don't. So the P121, I think, as a general rule, unless you want to play classical music for some reason out in public, which is great, that won't be amazing for this. But however, certain genres will work, like Beethoven and music from that era, and Bach will work just fine on here because pianos and instruments of that era didn't have 88 keys either. So Beethoven will work fine on it, but certain classical pieces will not from later time periods. So one reason that I like the P121 is, again, because it is compact. And as I've mentioned in previous videos, I'm looking for an instrument that I can use in the control room of the studio so that I can have something that's simple to play on. It doesn't have to be a lot, but I just want something to be in the control room that I can simply run over to and play a lick or play a melody or follow along something on the internet to learn it by ear. I don't really have that in the studio. I've got a couple of reed organs in the control room, but other than that, I have nothing. So I would love to have a simple, basic digital piano in the control room that can serve that purpose. And one great thing about the P121 is while there's no compromises from the 125, not really, it is smaller, and that means that it's going to be saving me space and not taking up as much room. So I can tuck it away in a small little corner, and it's going to be perfect for what I need. So that's another reason that I absolutely love the P121. I probably won't use it too much for gigging, but if I have to use it, it totally will work absolutely perfectly. Another really great thing about the P121 as well as the P125 is that for those of you who don't gig and only want a home instrument just to simply have at home to look nice, both of these, but I have a P121 in this color, both of these actually happen to come in white. Let me show you that. So here is the P121 in white, and actually it looks really nice. I didn't think that I'd like the P121 in white, but as a matter of fact, it looks really great. Part of the reason it looks better than I thought it would is because the white isn't just white, it's actually more of a pearl kind of a color. It reflects the light, it kind of has an almost metallic finish to it, sort of. Very nice touch there. So this is the 121 in white. The 125 also comes in white, and I believe the 515 can come in whites too, and I think the 45 can, yes, the 45 can also come in white as well. I'm looking at the box over there and it says 45B, and that B indicator, of course, stands for black. My 45 is in black, but the B should also indicate that the 45 can come in white as well, and the indicator for that will be WH. So this is the P121WH, this is the P121B. I hope you guys liked this little look at it, because honestly it looks pretty nice. So for those of you who have a home that white decor would go very well with, and you just want a simple instrument to practice on at home, this would be an option for you. So now, as you can see, we're back in black, and we've got the P125 down here on the bottom once again. So I figured I'd play a little bit more music and we can have some fun here with these two instruments, and also I'll tell you a little bit more about a few other reasons why I think the P121 is pretty cool. That was just some improv of a chord progression of mine, and I hope that you guys enjoyed it. What I was doing there was I was using the Wurlitzer sound of the P125 combined with the Rhodes sound of the P121. Now, the Rhodes sound of both of these is identical, and the Whirly sound of both of them is identical, but I figured I'd combine them and do something kind of interesting and fun with that. So basically, what we have here with the P121 is a smaller, more compact version, obviously, of the P125, but because of that, you can do a few things with it that you can't really do as well with the P125. I think one other thing that the P121 might be good at is perhaps not a main gigging instrument, but a backup for your main gigging instrument. So if you can afford something a little bit more expensive, like perhaps a P515, or perhaps you prefer the Kawai's ES8 or MP7 SE over Yamaha's instruments, whatever your main gigging piano is, you could always bring this along and just stuff it in the trunk or in the back seat just as a backup. So in case something bad happens to your main unit, it falls and breaks, there's technical difficulties, something's not working right, you can use this as a backup or even in combo with your main unit if you like some of the sounds this thing can produce. For a rather affordable instrument, the sounds in here actually aren't too shabby, especially the Rhodes sound. I really like that one. The Whirly sound also isn't bad, not the best, but not the worst. And there's a few others in here too, like the organ sounds are pretty nice. So for example, if your main unit is a Kawai MP11 SE, which does not have organ sounds, this does have organ sounds, and they're not too bad, especially when you put them in a mix. I'm sure they'd sound pretty nice. So you could have this on a second tier or next to you, so you could have some organ sounds right there at your fingertips. So there's a large number of things you can do with this small little keyboard, and honestly, I really do like it. I've mentioned before, like I said earlier in the video, that I would be searching for a piano to use, or a digital piano to put in my control room, and I think I found it. I like the sound of the speakers, I like the things it can do, and it's also small and compact. Also, both of these have a home stand, like a furniture stand style as well, that you can optionally buy for these two. I'm not sure I'll use that for the studio, but for those of you who will only be using one of these at home, they have that too. So the fact that both of these, but especially the P121, has the proper direct outs makes it really, really versatile for gigging or practicing at home. The advantage to the direct outs is that the sound quality is higher than the quality of the 1/4-inch headphone jacks. Technically, you can use the headphone jacks to record the direct signal and to output a signal to an amplifier, but it's not going to sound as good as the sound coming out of direct outs. Other digital pianos of the same price point of the 121 and 125 don't actually have direct outs. So as a result, I cannot recommend those basically at all for gigging. For home practice, it might be alright, but if you want to do some basic level gigging or have a backup instrument for your main setup, the P121 would be absolutely awesome for that. I really hope that you guys have enjoyed this video about the 121 and also comparing it against the 125. Many of you guys have asked me to review the 125, but I haven't received that many requests to review the 121. It seems like not that many people know about it, and as a result, I feel like possibly it may even get discontinued at some point if sales aren't high enough. I have no access to the sales stats of Yamaha for the P121 or any of that, but I'm willing to bet that the P121 probably doesn't sell as well as the P125 because a lot of people would think that it has a massive drawback to not having as many keys. But unless you're playing certain classical music from certain time periods, chances are you won't even miss those extra keys. Unless I tried to play Clair de Lune up here on the 121, I didn't miss any of the extra keys at all. When I was playing my jazz improv and all that stuff, it was all fine. So the 121 probably doesn't sell as well. It perhaps maybe will get discontinued at some point. So if you're looking for an instrument that's kind of like this, you maybe would want to consider the 121. Who knows? It might disappear off of the new market forever. Possibly. Just an idea. Perhaps it will happen. But I do hope that you guys have enjoyed this video. And if you did, you might want to go check out my channel if you're new here. I have lots of cool videos of pianos, organs, digital pianos, and all kinds of other neat keyboard instruments, and sometimes even other things too. So if any of that sounds cool, you might want to go check out my channel. And if you do that, thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.